Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share something with you. Let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're in a coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get out of that coffin. You tried lifting the lid, but the lid won't open because there's just too much heavy weight of dirt on there. You try banging on the lid to unsettle that dirt that's on that lid. So maybe somebody will notice the moving of the dirt and start digging their way down towards you. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help. You know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to defeat an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind while you're abusing drugs and alcohol that maybe, just maybe, you might overdose and take something that was preciously given to you by the Lord Jesus, called life? And you don't think that's selfish enough? Or maybe you don't care if your life is gone? What about taking that life, your life, away from the people that love you and count on you most? For an example, people like your mother and your father and your sister and your brother. What about your husband or your wife? What about those children or even your grandchildren? With this, let me leave one last thought with you. Don't be like the person I'm just reading about on this index card that waited and waited and waited until it was too late to get help. Instead, be the person that reaches out to reaches out to me, at 844-405-HELP, and I promise you, I will help you take your life back. But I do want you to reach out to God. Give a shout out to God. When you take your slippers off at night, stick them under your bed, folks. Put those slippers under your bed. That way, in the morning when you're waking up and you're blessed to have another day on this beautiful earth, you'll be forced to get on your knees to get those slippers because they're under your bed. So you need to see where they are. You're looking under that. There they are. While you're on your knees, utilize what I call knee mail. K-N-E-E mail. Knee mail is your personal chat line, your personal phone service from your lips to God's ears each and every morning. That's the best time to ask God for guidance and direction, for mercy and forgiveness, to thank God for having a home, clothing, food, relationships, children, grandchildren. It is the time to speak to God each and every morning. There is no better way, no better time than to do it first thing on a crispy, beautiful morning when your mind is not full of all the activities from the day. When you first open those eyes and you see the beauty of God's creation is the time you should thank God for allowing you to live. Put those slippers on and walk with God 24/7. Don't forget to also give Larry Geis from the Geis Academy a call, 516-458-2741. Larry Geis and I tell folks like you, doesn't matter where you came from, doesn't matter where you've been. What matters is that you're here and you're looking for a better tomorrow. Larry will take you from your addiction to recovery, depression to happier times, low self-esteem to raising it. You can find Larry at www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geis and I are standing by to help you, and all you need to do is pick up the phone and call Larry at 516-458-2741. And if you can't reach him, you can call me at 844-405-HELP, and together Larry and I will help you take your life back. We're going to talk, in the previous segment we talked about signs that you might need rehab. So now, let's say you went to rehab. You did your 30, 60, and 90 days. Let's talk about the 10 signs that you, my friends, are in recovery. Before you can live, part of you has to die. You have to let go of what could have been, how you should have acted, and what you wish you would have done or said differently. You have to accept that you can't change the past experience, opinions of others at the moment, at the time, outcomes of their mouths. When you finally recognize that truth, then you will understand the true meaning of forgiveness of yourself and others. From this point, you will finally be free. You have admitted to yourself that you, my friend, need help because you already went to rehab. Now you're going to start living in recovery. Denial is arguably the most powerful tool used by addicts. The moment that an addict recognizes and admits that they have a problem, they are starting to open up, exhibiting an attitude of surrender in a tremendous first step, and typically an indicator that substance abuser will no longer be fighting against recovery process. Believe you can, and you are halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt wrote that. You have started to establish a sober support network, hopefully within your area. The shame and secrecy experienced by drug and alcohol abusers often prevents them from reaching out to loved ones or treatment professionals. Addicts tend to gravitate toward other addicts for several reasons. One, being around other substance abusers ensures that the drugs and alcohol will be readily available. And two, by creating a peer group that enables the addictions, it's easier to remain in denial that there is a healthier lifestyle to pursue. The seemingly simple act of disclosing an addiction to another person who is also addicted, in fact, a huge step in the recovery process, will never happen unless you reach out to sober people. It can lead to a domino effect by continuously sticking around with people that also have addictions. So you need to surround yourself in a community that is sober. If things go wrong, don't go with them. Roger Babson said that. You have established and are committed to treatment goals if you set them. One of the first steps in both inpatient and outpatient treatment settings is the creation of a treatment plan. Trained professionals help addicts to pinpoint measurable and achievable goals that incorporate the individual needs and progress of the individual. Social, emotional, physical wellness will be incorporated. And this is all decided by the professional. Sometimes a person will say, I will attend at least one sobriety group meeting each day for the next 30 days. I will also say that some people will respond to triggers and cravings by contacting one of the trusted support people. They will engage in at least one substance-free group activity each week. They will meet with addiction counselors 2 times per week for the remainder of the month. They will rate their emotions on a scale of 1 to 10 on a journal each and every day. They will employ at least one mindfulness technique daily. That could be either meditation, writing, walking. They will attend a minimum of 3 yoga classes each week. It is good to have an end to journey toward. It is good to have an end to journey toward, but it is the journey that matters in the end. Ernest Hemingway said, you have addressed some physical withdrawals, hopefully, during your rehab stay. The severity and duration of physical withdrawal symptoms varies depending on the substance being abused. In more severe cases of addictions, these withdrawals would require monitoring by a trained medical professional. Withdrawal symptoms can include tremors, sweating, extreme restlessness, and even seizures. Once an addict successfully works through these physical challenges, the emotional aspects of recovery can be more readily be navigated. When everything seems like an uphill struggle, just think of the view from the top. Are you exploring the benefits of mindfulness? One of the greatest challenges of recovery can be the flood of regret stemming from the past behaviors. Whether the casualties of an addiction were emotional or mere materialistic, they can often lead to relapse. Mindfulness-centered treatment approaches are growing to be more and more common. Essentially, an emphasis is placed on the living in the present and accepting circumstances as they are now today. Mindfulness routines can be personalized, but often incorporated elements of meditation, journaling, and, of course, yoga. A man's true state of power and riches is to be in himself. You are exploring the roots of your addiction. Addiction does not happen overnight, nor does anyone set out to become reliant on substances, I should say. There are many factors that lead to drug and alcohol abuse, and pinpointing the underlying source can prove liberating. Whether an addiction stems from genetic predisposition, childhood trauma, or attempts of self-medicate a mental or physical illness, defining the source opens up all the doors to new ways of healing. There are countless scientifically based treatment approaches designed to address each and every underlying issue. When an addict willingly embraces these modalities in treatment, the prospects of long-term sobriety increase tremendously. It's the constant and determined effort that breaks down all resistance, sweeps away all obstacles. You have begun to redefine your perception of fun and rewards as substance abuse progresses and addicts' focus narrows. Eventually, events that don't involve alcohol or drugs are eliminated, and securing the next fix is at the forefront of all decision made. Participating in sober gatherings is no longer viewed as fun and can cause significant levels of anxiety on the part of the addict. An addict's thoughts patterns grow distorted as she begins to think that that drugs and alcohol are the only way to feel happy. In recovery, an addict begins to reclaim healthier thought patterns. Previous misconceptions like drugs are the only way to have fun are replaced with more productive statements like, I have always enjoyed hiking and I'm ready to revisit that hobby again. While these healthier outlets can feel forced or under-satisfying in the early recovery stages, they eventually lead to a more substantive and fulfilling lifestyle. Don't think what your thoughts dwell on does not matter. Your thoughts are making you who you are today. You are reconnecting with life, and it's starting to look good. In the throes of addiction, hobbies and interests take a back seat. When an addict is actively engaged in recovery, those once close-held passions begin to re-emerge. It can be tempting to dive back into everything all at once, yet taking small steps, baby steps, is a more realistic recovery approach. Many treatment programs incorporate exercise, art, journaling, and outdoor recreation in the recovery process. In addition to rekindling old passions, recovering addicts can also expect a deepening connection with the world and people around them. As the social and emotional isolation so closely linked with addiction is addressed, more meaningful social interactions and heightening awareness of the natural world begin to take form. Days that were once marked by a lonely haze are suddenly experienced in a high definition. As human beings, our greatness lies not so much in being able to remake the world as it is in being able to remake ourselves. You are establishing new coping skills, and you should be diving right into them. Day-to-day life is full of challenges, and curveballs will be thrown at you. For an addict, the go-to solution is drugs or alcohol. This pattern of numbing away the stresses of everyday life becomes a nightmarish cycle. In recovery, an addict identifies productive coping strategies like breathing exercises, physical fitness, and communication with sober support units. Initially, these skills feel foreign and require a great deal of practice and conscientious effort. Over time, however, the benefits of coping in healthy ways become quite evident, more second nature, and provide far more relief than a quick fix once afforded by the substances that they were consuming. That which we persist in doing becomes easier, not that the nature of the task has changed, but our ability to do has increased. For the first time in a long time, you, my friends, are finally seeking and finding hope. Hope can be quite elusive for addicts. As the abuse of substances progresses, the prospect of wellness can feel out of reach. With each step in recovery, an addict begins to see more light at the end of that tunnel. Glimmers of happier and more fulfilled person they were once begin to peek through again. Personal and professional goals begin to take on a new shape in life, and ultimately, the challenges and losses associated with addiction serve as fuel to become a whole person again. The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. That's what I always say. And this is where you start today. Previous segment was about signs of going into rehab, that you probably might need rehab. These were the signs of recovery. I hope you received something out of both these segments. And if you have any questions, 844-405. Help is my phone number. Remember, I have hard copies of every single episode I do. And may God bless you.